There was a time not too long ago when Ford's American-made e-vehicles were really popular here. Think E150, Expedition, and even the gargantuan Excursion. But now only the Explorer remains. Is it still relevant in the Philippine setting? Let's find out. Hey everyone, Vince here from AutoIndustriya.com, and what I've got for you is the new 6th generation Ford Explorer. Actually, it's not new. It was first revealed in 2019. That's a long time now in terms of automotive lifespans. But as you can tell, it was kind of caught up in the global restrictions, the parts supply issues, shipping issues, and all that, which is why it took quite a bit of time for it to be launched here in the Philippine market. Now, this 6th generation Explorer, what's new with it? Well, later we'll take you through a lot of the mechanical changes. There are really a lot of changes here, but it starts off with the look. Now, do you actually like the way they redid the front end? Because me, I have my reservations about how they try to make all this come together. For one, it does have these large headlights, which I actually do find a bit large, and the grille, the way it integrates with the grille, kind of creates a, I don't know, like almost looks like a mustache kind of thing right there, where you twirl it right there. I can't do that. I can't really grow that much of a mustache anyway. So you can see it is still a crossover right here, meaning it uses a car-like platform. It doesn't use a ladder frame platform like the 4th generation Explorer and older. That's why it's a bit wide, hugs the ground a bit more. Should give you the balance of the functionality of a wagon-type SUV with the ride of a car. So from the side, yep, that's the Ford Explorer right there. It's a 5-door SUV with big 20-inch wheels. The length of this really makes it a mid-size, at least by American standards, but here in the Philippines, we would really call it more almost like a full size. It makes it ideal for, let's say, families. It is a 7-seater, 2, 3, and 2. But if you want to make it an executive vehicle, you actually can, because it does have a lot of room here. We'll show you in a bit. Over in the States, it's also popular for other purposes, like towing, hauling, or even as police cruisers. I mean, imagine this in black and white in an episode of Cops. We'll not talk about that for now. So yeah, the Ford Explorer, ever so slightly bigger. The look, not really a huge fan of the front end. The rear, though, seems a bit plain to me. But the thing I found weird is when you look at the tailpipes, because the tailpipes, those are real, by the way, but instead of exiting straight out back, it's exiting straight down. So if you look at it, we'll show you a close-up now. It's actually blocked off because the exhaust tip points downward. So the one in the back is kind of semi-fake, which is odd to say. Anyways, to open the liftgate, you press this button, and it is nice and motorized. You can also use your key for that. Now, the measurements here, right now, it's about 48 inches wide and 20 inches long right there. We'll show you the metric conversions. The great thing about the Explorer is that everything, well, at least the third row, is motorized. It's one touch, just like in the Everest, I think the highest grade Everest. So this is where it really originated. When you fold it down, it's about 49 inches long. When you have all the third row and the second row folded down, you get up to 73 inches overall, with a bit more to spare over there. But what makes these measurements critical is that you can actually go to a Home Depot, break down a plywood board into half across, and then you can fit a 48 by 48 panel right there to bring it home if that's the size that you need. So that's actually a nice feature to have. But one thing I really do like, it has a lot of compartments underneath right here. Gives you more space. And whoever used the car before me must have gone to the beach because there's a lot of sand all around. Sana all pwede mag-beach. At the heart of the Ford Explorer that we're getting here in the Philippines is a 2.3-liter EcoBoost engine with a 10-speed automatic and a 4-wheel drive system. Power is at 304 PS, which is a 20 PS upgrade over the previous version. But the real meat of the discussion with this Explorer, well, for one, it's the layout of the engine. Now, in previous, or at least in the previous generation Explorer, the crossover one, the engine was laid out, the pistons were laid out like that. Transverse, meaning it's primarily front-wheel drive. Not in this one, because if you look at how the engine is oriented, it's oriented like a rear-wheel drive vehicle, because this is a primarily rear-wheel drive vehicle with the ability to drive all four wheels depending on what mode you're in. So that is a major difference, and it will also change the way they do the suspension and the way the vehicle feels later when we drive it. But some of the things I do find strange about the engine bay. For one, there are things that, I don't know, it almost seems like cost cutting to me. For example, right here, the strut bar holding the hood up right there, there's no foam on it, it's just painted steel. It seems very basic for an Explorer. Same with this strut bar that they have here connecting the two shock towers, which is unusual because it's just pressed sheet metal. That's kind of odd. Also, the steering column, I can kind of see it, or at least the steering rod, I can see it. But the way they did the wiring, like right here, I'll try to point it out to you right now. The way they did the wiring over there, see all that exposed wiring? It's like trying to diffuse a ticking something, because all the colors of the wire are exposed. They didn't even bother wrapping it up completely. That's just odd for a vehicle that's new from the factory. So I guess an important question with any Explorer is whether an adult would survive in the third row. And actually, you know what? It's not bad. I mean, space-wise, I'm okay. My knees are okay. By the way, I'm 168 cm. So for my height, it's okay. Even for my, width, it's also quite all right. What I like here, you do have lights here. You have cup holders and all that, pockets and stuff. And the best part, you have these vents that really get into your face if you want to blast some cold air. But the best seat, well, let's see if it's actually the one here in the middle. So overall, the middle row of the Explorer is a nice place to be in. Legroom is pretty good. The seat quality and cushioning is nice. There's a center armrest here. But what's unique though is that this is a 35-30 and 35 middle row. Let me show you. Can you pull that one? See? So 35%, 30% here in the middle. This can also fold down and slide. Same with this one. It's a very different system. And then right here in front, you've got your own AC controls, 2 USB-C ports, a 220-volt outlet, and your own cup holders here. I mean, if you want to put cups on the floor, but my bottle doesn't fit over there. It's also got the panoramic glass roof, giving you a nice view. Your own AC vents here with a light and speaker here, and then you have cup holder here. They really got a lot of cup holders in this vehicle, but one of the features I do like, the sunshade. Just makes it nice overall. But there are some things we noticed in this vehicle, and for that we'll show you some B-roll now of what the underfloor looks like, because it seems like they just cut up parts of the carpet to make space for certain things. It just doesn't seem to be very neatly done. Anyways, let's check out what's in front. Right, so this is where it gets interesting or uninteresting depending on your point of view. The front, the dashboard, the way they designed it, I'm not really sure I like it. Because, mind you, this is already a pretty dated vehicle by the time we got our hands in it. Yes, the mileage is low on this one, but the Explorer itself was revealed, I think, in 2019, and then launched in the Philippines with quite a delay. Like, of course, being that it's an American-made vehicle, they wanted to satisfy the demand in the US first before it came to the Philippines. So it took a while, and even then, they didn't even bother doing a launch. And now, looking at the dashboard, I can kind of see why, because it was already dated by the time it arrived here. You can see it by the size of the screen. I mean, it's tiny by today's standards now, the way, at least in this class of vehicle. Same with the instrument panel right here. They do have a multi-info display with the dual gauges right there. But still, compared to a lot of newer models, it's already kind of dated compared to the rest. But still, it's okay. I mean, everything is pretty much where you expect it to be. And what I like about what Ford does, they put pockets everywhere to be able to store stuff. For example, below the screen, you've got this pocket right here. I mean, it's good for your wallet or your key. I mean, here's the key of the Explorer right here. It does have the unlock lock, and then tap twice to start, and then tap twice to open the tailgate. But you can put it there. You can put other things there if you want. And then you've got this compartment. Actually, well, it's a shelf here kind of thing, but it's actually a lid. So press that, which by the way, it doesn't really feel that great. But right there, I have my phone, which is plugged in to the Android Auto right up here. So we'll show you this in action. Now, right below there in this compartment, you do have USB, USB-C, and a 12-volt outlet, but it's a pretty spacious compartment overall. But it's kind of a throwback, or at least a retainer from the previous generation Ford Explorer, which also had something like this. But still, they could have done something better there. 2 cup holders. Your phone can actually also fit right here. Let me try that now. So this part, I actually really like what they did here. You can have your phone there. Problem is you can't run a cable from under there to be able to use the Android Auto or the Apple CarPlay, which, by the way, I think it's not wireless. Even though you do have a wireless charger right here, but given the size of phones nowadays, with the case, won't really fit in there, so that's kind of a bummer. Now, the dashboard itself, right? We go to the steering wheel. The steering wheel, it is a very conventional Ford steering wheel with the satin silver here. I think it's plastic. Doesn't really look that inspiring. It does have buttons on the left for your advanced safety features. So you do get like an adaptive cruise control, lane tracing, all that stuff in this vehicle. We'll list all of them now. The controls for those are on the left side. On the right side is to be able to control this screen right here. So you can control all the data that you want displayed depending on what you want, tire pressure, all that stuff. But it's also got the display for the 4-wheel drive system. This one does have 4-wheel drive. And the off-road angles, the departure angle, steering angle right there, you can see there when you steer that. And of course, when you go around the different bumps and all that, this will all change. But this is also where you display the driving modes. So using the control knob here, I'll change the different drive mode settings. So right now we're normal, then eco, then sport, then tow haul. That's going to be a big thing with the Explorer, but at least not in the Philippines. So, and then on the right side are the off-road modes, slippery, then you have trail, and then you have deep snow and sand. We won't be doing any of that today because there's none of that around Metro Manila unless you're at a construction site. Right here in the middle is one of the things that really disappointed me with the Explorer, the size of the screen and how it looks. Because what Ford tried to do, and in other versions of the Explorer, they have a portrait iPad-like screen, like similar to the one you would find in the Ford Everest, but the version here in the Philippines, we don't get that. We only get this little screen right here. And the problem there is that this the orientation of the screen is good, but it's limited because of the AC vents, the way they did that. Had they moved the AC vents somewhere else, they could have gone with something a bit bigger, but right now, they're really constricted by that. I'm not quite sure why Ford chose to do a setup like that, but there you go. We're kind of stuck with this unit right now. Right below it, you got controls for your audio system. I mean, you can also control it here along with the navigation. Let's see if that works. Yep, it works. But below it, you do have your dual zone climate control. And well, we also have the rear one here. But the best part, it comes with seat coolers. So right now, I always pretty much, given the temperature now, I just set it to cool for both sides if there's somebody sitting there. If you want to play a prank on them, you press that. You'll just warm up their back, and while you have a little bit of a laugh. Right up here, you got your sunglass holder. In my case, RFID card holder, and then you do have the sunroof control. Oh, right now, Barney has the camera mounted there, so I can't open that or close that. But still, you've got your panoramic glass roof here. Dual visors, the usual stuff. These are things you would find in a lot of vehicles now, but as we'll show you later when we're driving, there are some things we're noticing when it comes to the quality of the vehicle, one of which is right here. But those are minor details. Does it affect the overall feeling of the drive? Well, let's take it out now and find out. feels good to be back behind the wheel of a Ford Explorer because when I started, one of the first events I attended, I got to drive the Ford Explorer, the still frame-based one. That was on a racing circuit of all places. But I drove it around a few more times after that, and then I also tried out the Explorer when it transitioned into the crossover platform, you know, the one with the primarily front-wheel drive with all-wheel drive. And this one, I think, is like a hybrid of the two. You know, because when you drive it around, it almost feels like a classic vehicle, like a classic Explorer. You know, the way it feels around, the way it rides around the rougher parts of, you know, our asphalt, I guess. I mean, we're not going to be doing any off-roading with this. You can, because it is an all-wheel drive system or four-wheel drive, well, however you want to activate all the driving modes in here. But it just kind of combines the feel of that older truck, but you know in your mind that it is also a crossover, which is kind of unusual. You don't really see too many, you know, crossover SUVs that still retain a primarily rear-wheel drive layout with four-wheel drive. Right now I'm driving the Explorer on a road where, you know, it's normally the bane of a lot of American SUVs, and these are tight Metro Manila city streets. And let me tell you now that it's kind of easy to manage. I mean, it is a wide vehicle. And there was one time I did nick I think it was a 2011 Explorer. I nicked the tires on one of the curbs. Yeah, that wasn't good. But this one, I think I can be more confident because you are sitting more upright. I mean, this seating position is not for everyone, but it does give you a nice view of what's around you, and you can place the vehicle fairly well for something so wide. Driving the Explorer 2.3 around the city, you know, we're in the middle of summer, so the roads are dry. There's no real need to use any of the other modes right now. So I just pop it into normal and just keep it like that. And the fuel economy I'm getting are around 4.8 kilometers per liter. Definitely not great, that is to be expected. And by the way, that's just me with the car in city traffic, average speed of around 16 kilometers per hour. So when it comes to fuel consumption, yeah, that's really going to be it for a vehicle like this. I imagine some of the larger engine, the Explorers in our city streets, are going to consume even more. I'd probably expect maybe 3.5, there or thereabouts. But Ford isn't offering that. They're only offering the 2.3 here in the Philippine market, at least for now. But when it comes to power, oh man, I wish I could show you, but traffic is way too bad. I mean, it does have power. It does have fairly good response. The thing that bothers me, though, is that I can feel a bit of shift shock, you know, with the transmission. It feels like it's unrefined, or at least the programming doesn't feel complete. You know, like when you drive it around, when you put your foot down a little bit, there's a strange shifting, maybe second gear, third gear, and then when it downshifts, it's just, I don't know. It's very, very minute. It's not that big of a deal, but if you're just driving around trying to feel it out, there are some things that are gonna stick out. You know, it just feels strange. When Ford said they were going rear-wheel drive for the Explorer, it was kind of exciting because, hey, that means it's gonna be more fun to drive. It's gonna be more enjoyable in the mountains, and it actually is. You know, the handling of this for a big vehicle is quite good. That is something really, really surprising. But it was really done more for the towing. You know, that's what they geared it towards, and you know, over, let's say, in the States, or if they sell this in Australia, they do a lot of towing caravans, campers, and all that over there. And though, given that car camping is becoming more popular here, that actually might be viable here. But the core competency of the Explorer, or at least the core customer of the Explorer here in the Philippines, they're not going to be doing that. And it's going to be more as executive transport. What's going to be more important is ride comfort, refinement, and all that stuff. And given that they've gone to this more truck-ish feeling vehicle, it might not sit well with a lot of customers because there are already a lot of options here, like when it comes to SUVs. And also, a lot of things about the vehicle, like for example, the middle row, they could have gone for the captain seats because, again, knowing your core customer here for a vehicle like this, they're going to want captain seats there in the middle. You can have an armrest and all that. But still, this one is more family-oriented, has the 3 individual style seats there. It's still good, but again, it would have been better if it was that way around. But I think the biggest issue I have with the Explorer is the refinement overall. So for one, the transmission. I'm feeling some things with the transmission, the way it shifts and all that. I've already mentioned that earlier. But also, if you're stuck in traffic, you notice things with the interior, the plastics, the way things are put together. For example, I look at this piano black panel here. It does not align well with the brown fall wood panel there. You feel the buttons here. It's not great. Even when I look at some of the things here, again, it may seem like nitpicking, but these are things you notice. So, like the plastic here, the shroud for the driver display, there's a little bit of excess plastic there that kind of reminds me of those cheaper model kits that we used to have as a kid. Not the Tamiya ones. Those are very high quality. I think that's going to be my main issue with the Explorer. Who are they targeting with this vehicle? And does it appeal to the target market here in the Philippine market? It's going to be different from the one in the United States, the one in Australia, and all the other countries where this vehicle is being offered. But in a more general sense, I think the primary issue here is I feel there's a lack of effort, of attention to detail with the vehicle overall. It's like they just do what they did best with the interior, change a little bit here, change a little bit there. But in terms of overall innovation, trying something different and new, particularly with the cabin, I don't think it's there. I don't think it's there. A lot of the things I see here, feel here, could be better. And I know Ford can do better because they really knocked it out of the park with a lot of their products like Ranger and Everest and all that. Why can't they do that with Explorer? So, the Ford Explorer. I think there's a good vehicle here, but it could do with a lot of polishing. The way they fit the body panels on the outside, particularly the trim piece right here on the other side, was popped off when we got it. The alignment of certain things, the way they did the tailpipes, that was weird. The interior, we found a few things, particularly with the way parts fit together. It could be a lot neater. Same with the way they do the carpet underneath. There's a lot of that yellow and purple whatever that you get from the matting, from the foam under there. It's kind of making a bit of a mess. It's really, really weird that they would leave it just like that. But also with the way it drives. Now, it is nice what they did with the rear-wheel drive platform, but they need to do some fine-tuning with, I think, maybe the programming of the transmission, the logic of the shifting. That one needs a little bit of work. The power, we think, is really good, and the driving dynamics could be really nice. But again, in traffic or when you're spending time in your vehicle, you notice a lot of the things about how they made it. And that's why I think it almost seems a little bit unfinished. Had they spent a bit more time fine-tuning in all of these, it would be really great. Now, this is a vehicle that is priced at $3.5 million. Now, what can you get at that price? Quite a lot, actually. If you found this review of the Ford Explorer in the Philippines useful, tap that like button and share it with a friend who may be looking at this vehicle. See you on the next review.